The day has finally come. Splinter Twin is free. Splinter Twin is unbanned in Modern. I've been holding on to this playset of Splinter Twin for years now, I think. It's in my pile of cards that I occasionally look through when I want to sell cards or buy list things, but every time I looked at it, I thought, you know, I could get a couple dollars for it, but I'll just hold on to it, because maybe one day it'll get unbanned. And today is that day. Not only is Splinter Twin unbanned, though, there are 3 more unbannings. You might be familiar with this card right here, Mox Opal. This was a huge card in the Modern format for a long time. It got banned. It remained expensive because people wanted it for Commander and things like that, but Mox Opal is also unbanned in Modern. There's more, though. Faithless Looting. You could say the same thing about Faithless Looting. This was a huge card in Modern. It enabled several decks. It got banned. I was a big fan of the Faithless Looting ban, actually, and now that it's back, honestly, I'm a fan of the unbanning as well. But there's still another one, Green Sun Zenith. This card is also unbanned in Modern. It was kind of a weird one to be on the ban list. People wanted this to come off for a long time because it didn't seem that powerful, but Green Sun Zenith is now playable in Modern. With these unbannings, there also came several bannings, though. This is the one that people were speculating about. I was actually talking about this yesterday with some friends about, you know, whether this will be banned or not, and I didn't even know what to think, because yeah, the card completely dominated Modern, but at the same time, like, it's the One Ring. Are they going to ban the One Ring? I don't know, but they did, and once again, I'm a fan of this banning. I'm a fan of just changes to the ban list in general. I mean, for the Modern format, obviously this is going to be good when, you know, the card is in like 40% of decks or whatever. And I imagine the price of the card will probably reflect that. Like, the bannings just happened, so I'm not sure how fast the price of this is going to go down. But the thing is, this is also a really popular card in Commander as well. And that's kind of what we saw with Mox Opal when that got banned in Modern. It became cheaper, but over time it just got expensive again because people want it for other formats. So, I don't know, I have these 2 copies of the One Ring, and yeah, weeks ago I could have sold them for like twice as much as they are now, but I don't mind just holding on to them. You know, these are the 2 that I opened from the video that I made just recently, where I opened some Lord of the Rings product, and I was in no rush to sell them, so I don't mind just still having them. Also banned in Modern, and both Pioneer actually, is Gigantha here. This one, I mean, it's a companion, and probably all of the companions at some point are going to end up banned in some format or another. I mean, the companion mechanic as a whole was just such a broken mechanic, and even when they fixed it, it's not really fixed. So, yeah, I mean, Gigantha, I basically see it as like, this one was the next one on the chopping block, and, you know, people will just play whatever companion they can instead of this, if that's possible, and then eventually that companion will get banned as well. But Gigantha is the next one. Another banning for Modern, I actually don't have a copy of this card, so here's a picture of it, is Amped Raptor here. This card, you know, the Boros Energy deck is so dominant, and Amped Raptor is a busted card, so it's another one where I'm happy to see that one go. I'm just happy to see changes to the format, and this card was way too dominant, so yeah, Amped Raptor can get out of Modern. And there were 2 bannings for Legacy, actually, both Vexing Bauble and another card which I don't own, Psychic Frog, so here's a picture of that as well. I've never really been super big into Legacy, so I'm not sure how much commentary I can provide on that, but they probably were worthy bans. Psychic Frog is a big card in Modern as well, so I don't know, depending on how the format changes, maybe it could end up getting banned in Modern as well, who knows. So we've got several cards in and several cards out. It's interesting to think about where Modern and I guess Legacy will go from here, because these are some massive changes to the format for Modern in particular. I mean, you have the most dominant cards by far moving out, and some of the most dominant cards from the past moving back in. I think with Mox Opal and Faithless Looting, those 2 I think are going to make the biggest changes, because those can go in many different decks, and they can enable some really broken stuff. Green Sun Zenith, I don't know. I don't even know if people are gonna play this in modern. Maybe they will. Maybe there's some really broken thing you can do that I'm not realizing. But I think Green Suns will be fine. Splinter Twin, though, that's, I kind of think, the most interesting one to talk about, because this is one that people have wanted unbanned for a long time now. A lot of people thought that it never should have been banned. It could do some pretty busted stuff. The thing with Splinter Twin was that it felt really bad losing to it, because you would just lose out of nowhere. It's just, oh look, they top decked their other half of this combo and they just win. There's nothing I can do about it. The thing is, it's not that good, especially in modern today. I've seen some people talking about getting cards to rebuild their Splinter Twin deck, like, they're going to get their Snapcasters and their cryptic commands and things like that, but I think modern has moved past that. I don't think that's where Splinter Twin really wants to be, especially with cryptic command. Like, if you're casting a 4-mana counterspell in modern, I kind of feel like, what are you doing? Just play like Force of Negation instead or something like that. So I definitely think people are going to try Splinter Twin, though. What you used to do with it was you would play it on either your Pestermite or your Deceiver Exarch. Both of these, they say when they come into play, you can tap or untap something. So, you have this in play, you put a Splinter Twin on it, you can tap this, make a copy of it, the copy comes in, untaps this, you make a copy, you go infinite, you get infinite these and attack, and you win. It could still work with these two cards, but I think the rest of the deck, with all of the support cards, like, the Snapcaster, the Cryptic, those kinds of things. There was even, I remember Tarmo Twin was a deck where you would play, like, that kind of Splinter Twin shell with Tarmogoyf. Playing Tarmogoyf in modern is almost laughable nowadays. So, like, I'm just saying, modern as a whole has evolved so much since when Twin was a dominant deck that I don't think it's going to exist in that format. I think people are going to try and make that. I don't think that the particular deck is going to work, but it could come back in a different iteration. Maybe there's even better cards than this that could work with Splinter Twin. So it is still a very powerful thing you can do with just a 2-card combo that can kind of win out of nowhere, but I feel like the rest of the deck is probably going to look very different outside of Splinter Twin and whatever card it's using the combo with. And it's kind of interesting to think of what kind of decks will emerge with these other kind of unbannings as well. You could look to previous decks that were really popular before, like with Mox Opal. The big one that I go to with that was Affinity, which in the past many times has been a tier 1 deck. It's been, an incredible dominant deck in the format. When Mox Opal got banned, though, that deck just died completely. Everyone just stopped playing it. But now that it's back, I mean, Affinity was good then, and I feel like it could still be good now. Even the old version of that deck with no changes, I feel like that could still be a good deck. So once you start looking at newer cards, I really think that maybe Affinity could be an interesting thing to try out. And it makes me look to some of the other cards from the Affinity deck, that when that deck died off, these cards used to be expensive and sought after, but if they had no home after Affinity was gone. But now that it's back, it makes me look at some other cards, like maybe Arcbound Ravager. This card used to be very expensive in the past. It does still have some demand, but a card that used to be $40, $50 and it's down to 10 makes me wonder if maybe I should finish my playset of Ravagers now or something like that. The same thing with maybe Inkmoth Nexus. If you look at the price history of cards like Arcbound Ravager and Inkmoth Nexus, you can kind of see this kind of thing where they go up and down pretty substantially. But that all just kind of depends on whether Affinity as a deck in 2025 is even still going to be a thing, because it's been so long since Mox Opal got banned that the format has changed so much. Who knows if Affinity is even still good? I feel like it probably would be, but you never know, right? Especially when people have things like, Force of Vigor or main deck Boseijus that can answer artifacts. The format is a lot different than it was before. Those are my thoughts on the bannings. I just saw the announcement today, and I thought it would be cool to make a video about it and let you know what I think of these bannings. As I've said before, I'm just a fan of changes to the ban list, whether that is banning things or unbanning things. I think shaking up the formats, I like that. It keeps things fresh and interesting. So this ban and unban to me is a pretty big deal. Let me know what you think, though. Are you going to try out any of these decks that can now be opened up in the format? How do you think Splinter Twin is going to play in the format? Is that actually going to be a good thing? Is Affinity going to come back? There's a lot of stuff to talk about. Even with Faithless Looting, what if you play a Hollow One deck now? That used to be a thing in the past. You could try that out again. Let me know what you think though. I'd be happy to read your comments below. But otherwise though, if you're still watching, thanks for watching. It'd be cool if you can like and subscribe and all that kind of stuff. I'd encourage everyone to come join my Discord server. You can find a link to that in the video description below. And otherwise, I'll talk to you later.